Hello, welcome to Her Story Nurtures. My name is Jasmine Feliz Flores. I have a YouTube channel. If you're seeing me there, welcome. You can like and subscribe if you gain value here. And I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. So if you're seeing me at any of these platforms, I really appreciate you here, and I really hope that I am able to provide a good service for you and that you gain value here. I have been helping with lactation counseling for about 14 years now. I started out working at WIC and collaborating with public health and then going out on my own to my own practice, and that's Her Story Nurtures LLC. I want to just start making videos. This is my first one for this group or this channel, depending where you're at. And so for this one, I wanted to go over some of the basics on latch. So that's what I'm going to do here today. I have a somewhat different way of teaching that I've discovered over the years that works incredibly well for most people, for most mamas to be a lot more comfortable. So I have this doll. She's been used a lot, and she has some staining from people's clothes that I have tried to remove in a multitude of ways, and it did not work. I even tried nail polish remover and accidentally removed a little bit of her lip, if you can see right there. So yeah, even that wouldn't get these stains off. So she's not gross as she's she's clean anyway. So she has like this really great little mouth for teaching, because they do need to open wide for latch, and then she's flexible. And I've learned that babies do have an instinct to lean back to latch properly and look up so that their nose is away for breathing, and they get their chin pressed in. And it makes sense because it's really the way we eat or drink anything, is that angle. We don't really think about it, but I mean, obviously we don't need to look up to drink from a straw, but we do have the straw at an upward angle. When we drink from a straw, we don't put it straight into our mouth, or honestly, it'd be stabbing our tongue. It'd be really uncomfortable, which if you're too straight in a baby's mouth, you're also going to be against that tongue and get chafed. So that helps kind of point that out. But it's the bottom of our face that opens and closes, so we look up for a big bite of something. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate that with my little dog toy here. How we, we have to tilt things for a good bite. And we don't just tilt the item and keep our ear and shoulder in a straight line. Many times, uh, moms are taught to keep their ear, shoulder, and hip in a straight line, to have their babies in the straight line, and that's a common teaching, and it's not correct. So it's causing a lot of problems, actually, because most babies that are getting a really good deep latch are looking up so much that their ear goes behind their shoulder, and that's actually correct, and they have an instinct to do that in most cases. I know there are some babies that always like to throw a wrench in there and like throw off the usual rules or happenings, whatever, made up rules. Some babies will just like have to hug their fists, and I don't know why. I've seen it so many times. They just got to do this, and so then you keep trying to get their fists away and get them to, bring their chest into mom so they're more snug, and they just bring them right back. Sometimes I think it's possible they just had some pain or something during delivery, and so they just feel the need to be in certain positions for comfort. In this video, we're not going to go too much into that. It's just generally an instinct where they look up to breastfeed. And so just like if we're eating something large, we don't bring it straight to our face, and we don't keep our face straight, because you really can't bite something that way. And then if we tilt it, we could bite the bottom side of it, right? But to get a good bite, we look up, get our bottom lip here, and we bite up and over. And that's the same for latch. And so if you have a baby, I have like multiple different breasts here. Um, for demonstrations to see they're all normal. And this is kind of like a flat or inverted. But anyway, so this one's easiest to see. And so I'm going to use this. If you had your baby nose to nipple and their ear, shoulder, and hip in a straight line, then how is this baby actually latching? They end up putting their ear behind their shoulder. They don't stay in that straight line. So you can line your baby up nose to nipple, but you got to allow them to move however necessary also. So what I like to teach is it's more like you want to allow your baby to look up, and you want to be pointed to either the underside of your baby's nose if their mouth isn't open yet. But if their mouth is open, then you should be pointed like right under that upper lip as they're latching. So you'll be pointed like that. And their bottom lip would be kind of the base of your areola, the dark area around your nipple, which is probably going to be bigger than this areola. This is a pretty small one for a breastfeeding mom, but in some cases moms have them this small. But in most cases I've seen they're a lot bigger. So your baby might be a little further than this areola. Then they latch up and over, and the nipple goes into the mouth, and then the dark area of the areola should be showing above the baby's lips and not below, and their chin would be pressed in. Okay, and so they'll be buried and kind of hidden in the breast. And then the upper lip can either be flat against the breast or kind of fish lipped out a little bit, and both of those are normal. And then if you're able to kind of peek in the underside, you want to see that the bottom lip is flared out and that the tongue is just over that lip. Sometimes like a lactation consultant or nurse or something will kind of take a peek and just check that. So then they latch up and over, and they're like this. And their nose, is, as you can tell, is away, and the chin is pressed in, and your baby can breathe because they're looking up nicely like that. And so what you can do, sometimes moms are so large-chested that even if their baby's at this nice angle, their breast can still be kind of falling over their face. And so you can gently just lift it away like that. Just gently. Sometimes even while latching, you might need to gently lift it up a little bit. You could be pointed down a little too much and just need to kind of gently lift yourself up in order to point that way. Okay? And that helps your baby latch on in the right way too. In some cases, that's necessary. But you really want to make sure your baby is coming up from under your breast, not coming straight onto it. They're coming up from under, chin pressed in. Their bottom lip is around the base of the areola, and their upper lip latches up and over, nose away, chin pressed in once they're on there, so they can breathe. If their nose is a little like this, they can still breathe, that's fine. But if you have really larger boobs, especially that point down, just kind of lift up just a little bit. You're not pressing into your body too hard. You're just lifting the skin a little bit, if that makes sense. I also like to teach that you never want to shove your baby on from behind their head. They need control of their head. You just want to have your hand behind your baby, and giving some support, but where they can still move their head as needed, because they feel your nipple with their cheeks. They actually turn side to side. You see them rooting and stuff. So also that brings in a good point. If they're rooting and trying to find it, they're feeling where it is and memorizing that. And so if you're helping too much and you're following them around and like chasing their mouth, they're just going to stay confused. So they really need to use their own feeling and do a lot of it on their own. And they have a lot of instincts to do so. So go ahead and stay relaxed and still, as long as you're in the right angles for them to get the correct latch and they can find it. Just allow them to find it, okay? Because they're going to turn their face side to side, feel with their cheeks, and then latch. And sometimes they'll feel like the latch doesn't feel right, and they'll unlatch themselves and do it again and then relatch. And that's okay. It's good. That's a good thing. They're learning everything along with you. You guys are learning together. Okay? So that's the main basics of latch. I'm going to show kind of something with positioning that I learned with moms that is also just like golden to know, because it really helps our posture. It really helps us get comfortable and relaxed while breastfeeding, because a lot of times moms end up like hunched into their baby's mouth and really hurt their back, and they're in these positions like they leaned into their mouth and then they're kind of stuck in an awkward way. This kind of helps you be more comfortable. So I like to teach moms not to have latch be number one. Like, kind of get that out of your mind, kind of that urgency that moms can feel. Instead, just put your baby heart to heart. And when you're learning together, especially skin to skin, heart to heart is incredible. Like, that really helps a lot. Just hug your baby skin to skin and let your baby root on you while you get comfortable. So number one is hug your baby heart to heart. A sweet hug. Number two, lean back just enough to where your shoulders are supported, just between your shoulder blades. You don't have to lie down, just leaning back enough to be supported. So while your baby's rooting on you and you're hugging your baby heart to heart, you have time to just breathe and get comfortable, okay? And then once you're comfortable and you're leaned back just a little bit, then you move your baby down your body. I'm going to try to get this to show what I'm talking about. You move your baby down your body, down your torso, and then you're going to move your baby to a slight diagonal, okay, so that your baby is able to maybe straddle one leg if they're long enough, or they could have their knees bunched up, but their hips are still flexed. They're still tummy to tummy, and they're down low enough to be looking up from the underside of your breast. And then you reach your arm across your baby's body on the same side that you're going to nurse on, all the way across your baby's body, holding and supporting their hips and their bottom in your hand, and their head resting in the bend of your arm here. Okay? And you might need to like pull your breast out from under your arm. And then they can look up really well. You can have one hand on each side of your breast, so you want to make sure their arm is under your arm when you're in this position. And then you're just kind of lean back there comfortably, right? And then while they're latching, you may need to do that a little bit lift for them, possibly. Just make sure they're down low enough to look up from under your breast, so they're not too straight on, but also up high enough into the underside of your breast so that the whole bottom side of their face can feel your breast while they're, learning where to go, okay? And then when they're latching, you can either, if you're having to hold your breast up for them a little bit, you just use that supporting arm to kind of bring them in. But if you don't need to do that, you can press gently behind your baby's shoulders to bring them in. And the really cool thing about this position is once they're latched, your arms aren't really like fighting gravity like other more cradled or cross-cradled positions. Your body is supporting all of your baby's weight. Your arm is just there in support of the position. And so you might want like an armrest under your elbow or a pillow there, but for the most part, your body will be holding them in position, and they're supported fully, their whole body. And they feel so secure this way too, so much that their instincts come in better, I found over the years. So this is just a really wonderful position for both you and your baby for learning together and then on. Because also once they're bigger and they're like, longer, they can even sit on your leg, straddling it, kind of like they're riding a horse, and breastfeed that way too. So it's just really a comfy, cozy position. They also look up at you, which is really sweet. Whereas, more cradle, they still look up at you at like a slight side gaze, but they can't. You don't want them turning their head too much anyway, because nobody can swallow well if you're turning your head sideways, right? So they only get like a side view glance, which is, it's still pretty close to looking right at you. But when you're like this and they have to look up anyway for a good latch, both eyes are just right looking up at you with their cute little adorable sweet faces, okay? So it's just a win-win all around. I hope this video is helpful, and have a wonderful day. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Congratulations, by the way.